What's up, Coordination? How you doing? We are continuing our series on Sybil resistance. Viva la Sybil resistance. The point of Sybil resistance is to get to more one human, one vote DAOs, more democratic DAOs that could enable Gini coefficient measurements, UBI, quadratic voting, quadratic funding. And I have as a guest on the pod today, Victor from Humanode, which is a quite interesting Sybil resistance project. They are working on a biometric approach to Sybil resistance and have a decentralized network that they're going to be launching soon related to that. So Victor is extremely smart. He's got skills in all these different areas and is pushing forward Humanode, which is a one human, one node system. So I hope that you enjoy this episode with Victor from Humanode. I found it quite interesting. Enjoy.
ReFi summer has arrived, and CELO is here for it. CELO is the layer 1 blockchain for the regenerative finance movement. It's fast, planet positive, and built for the real world. CELO has committed towards producing a sustainable future from the very beginning, and is the world's first carbon-negative, EVM-compatible layer 1 blockchain. CELO has become much more than a technology, a currency, a community, or even just a layer 1. CELO is a movement to create conditions of prosperity for everyone. You can soon engage with all of this via green asset Uniswap pools on CELO, benefiting reforestation and other regenerative products through the Toucan protocol, Moss, and more. ReFi is also about the health of communities, and Resource Network is creating bankless infrastructure for circular trade and mutual credit networks to benefit small businesses and local economies, all on CELO. Follow along on Twitter to learn more about how CELO is accelerating ReFi summer for a positive impact on people, communities, and the planet. If you're attending ECC, visit the CELO Saloon to learn about what's happening on the front lines of ReFi from industry experts. The Opera crypto browser is the world's first web browser built for the crypto community. With Web3 support and a non-custodial wallet, Opera lets you access DeFi apps quickly and easily. The Opera wallet has buy, sell, and swap features, and of course lets you view your beautiful NFTs, but the browser still lets you use any crypto wallet extension you prefer, giving you the choice and flexibility for the Web3 world. Opera lets you view and manage all of your assets across all the blockchains all at once, and offers seamless multi-chain support between Ethereum, Bitcoin, Polygon, Binance Chain, and other EVMs and layer 2s. But Opera goes even deeper than that. Opera has a built-in homepage for crypto natives with the Opera Crypto Corner, with price charts, news feeds, NFT updates to make sure you are always on top of your game. And it even has Discord and Telegram integrated natively into the browser. That's crazy. Opera is truly building the battle station for the crypto world. Check out Opera both on mobile with Android and iOS apps, and on desktop too.
All right. I am here with Victor from Humanode. What's up, Victor?
Hey, doing great. How about you, Kevin?
Pretty good. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you about Humanode. So can you tell me like how you got into crypto and how you came to be a part of Humanode?
Well, crypto was pretty on hype at our university in 2013. That's when we got it, but there was nothing but Bitcoin and a few others. So we didn't really get into that full time until the smart contracts became a thing in 2016, when we started to research nonstop. We gathered a team of analysts still working there. And actually now we're doing not only crypto research, but on other convergent sciences, because, the innovation is always in between right now. Had a few projects in crypto. The previous one was to facilitate the staking, basically for regular users, to make it easy. But since 2017, me and my founder Dato, co-founder for 10 years already, we clearly understood that, unfortunately, the crypto infrastructure is not pretty decentralized due to its capitalistic nature. And we always wanted to change that, but had no idea how. And this is how in 2020 we started working on Humanode, which I will tell you about later, I suppose.
Right. Got it. So it's not just about crypto only, it's more about a convergence, and it was these insights that led to Humanode. So, I mean, what got you pulling the thread of Humanode specifically?
I'm one of the co-founders, right? So it was looking through different sciences to solve the question how we can create a system where one person cannot launch more than one node, to finally bring proper distribution to the most important thing, to the crypto infrastructure and the servers it runs on. And we've been following biometrics for a while, and there were so many achievements in that field in terms of increase of accuracy, in terms of finding out if there's a real human in front of the camera, as well as a lot of research on privacy of biometrics, which is crucial for the crypto. When we understood that it is finally there and it's getting better each year with a great pace, we kind of started to think about the architecture of how we can create a network like that.
Got it. Okay, so it sounds like sort of solving the not one human, one vote question, but one human, one node. I'm just piecing it together from the name Humanode here.
So, well, it also applies to the one human, one vote, right? But in our heads, I mean, if the crypto infrastructure is not decentralized itself, right? All the one person, one vote system we build on a capitalistic system, which is not decentralized. What's the reason for it? I think we should care about each of the layers, including the most basic one. So it goes two ways. We're talking about private biometric solutions here, where we can verify that the person is unique and real with pretty high accuracy. But yeah, at the same time, it works both for the infrastructure, so we can check it before granting access to launch a node to the person. That's what we focused on. But as we were building this, one of the first private biometric solutions in the whole biometric industry, not talking about crypto particularly, we understood that it can be applied to so many projects that need it right now to fight Sybil in order to save their economies.
Got it. So how does the mechanism work? I'm kind of poking through your deck right now, and it talks about a uniqueness check and a liveness check. I'm curious how the mechanism works.
So yeah, these are the two major things that biometrics are based on. So first thing is matching one person, like comparing it to all the other people to see if he's unique. This is a neural network, basically, that checks if you are same or not. And this is a probabilistic neural network, but as you can see, the accuracy has gone pretty high. So a chance that another person would enter, for example, your account is 1 in 125 million this year. So last year it was just 1 in 10 million, and soon it will get to 7 billion, where we can be pretty sure that we can check that this is you. And the other part, which actually, why we didn't do that in 2017, because it was not there at all, is called in biometrics liveness checks. It checks whether there's a real human being through many computer vision models, like in front of the camera. We're talking about facial recognition only because it's the most accurate for now. And well, it uses 50 different modules to see how the light bends on your face, see the small movements of your face. And it captures this liveness data during the session. And it actually protects us from spoofing an identity that doesn't exist. So we call it artifacts in biometrics. This can be a face mask. That's how we usually try different biometric providers. This can be a wax doll. This can be a hacker trying to bypass the video feed and like inject a deep fake, for example. So this is also something that we can check during the like 5 to 10 second process of taking your biometrics. So these are the two things that are like all major biometric companies are doing. And the thing that they didn't care a lot before recently is privacy. And this is completely another task to complete in order to achieve private biometric solutions for Sybil resistance.
Right. Okay, cool. How do you worry at all about the sort of like dystopian problems with biometrics if they're not sort of like the data is managed in a private way? You have like biometric stuff that's kind of like immutable attached to you, and I know there's a lot of privacy concerns around biometrics. Like, how do you think about privacy?
Well, actually, our developers think that this is a battle we already lost, but we still have to fight for it because
Right.
right now there's no privacy in biometrics whatsoever. Companies don't care about it. Even large banks don't care about it. So yeah, this is something we fight for. This is something that we have already implemented in the first version, where we based it on hardware like trusted execution environments, right? But in the second version, what we want to do is completely open source biometric neural networks, which do both liveness and uniqueness checks, and they are processed by the nodes who have no idea what's inside because every layer of the neural network is encrypted. So, well, this is something what we need to do to protect us from this dystopian future you're talking about. Some of the dystopian events are, of course, the control of your biometrics by governments or corporations. But if we go further and think about the general AI problem, right? So basically, if we don't have that control of the infrastructure by people, that means that, well, if we still have capital-based control, he can buy it out and control all the ledgers we have. And if he has our biometric data, if it's not encrypted, he can again use our biometric data to get control.
I see.
So,
Okay.
both blockchains and biometrics can lead to dystopia or to for the future we strive for.
Got it. Okay. Cool. So it sounds like you're working on it, but you're at kind of like a disadvantage because there's other projects working in the space that aren't spending a lot of time on privacy. So it sounds like it's sort of something that you're managing, or at least trying to.
Yeah, like at least a year ahead.
How many people are using Humanode right now?
Oh, so our test nets were running for 10 months now. We had more than 10K people participating as human nodes, participating in consensus, validating transactions, and we also made them scan their faces regularly, every 3 days actually in the first testnet, in order to make sure that these people are still there, to fight the problems of dead people running nodes and receiving fees when they don't need it anymore, or to fight the problems of Indian farmers who just, we call it so because we had an inquiry like that a year ago. The person wanted just to go to many farmers out there and make them human nodes. So over 10K people ran nodes. Right now we have proper consensus with finalization with 800 people running it for now. The interesting part was that we really cared about privacy, but it wasn't there 10 months ago. And we explicitly told everybody, well, we have no privacy and you will have no incentive. So you're doing it completely because of the idea. And people still went for it. Most of them don't really care about privacy. Only anonymous developers and privacy geeks who really read the cryptography papers every week, I think, really care about it. But the majority of the population does not.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you're going through one of these use cases. Maybe you just want to get a reward for putting in your biometric data, and you're not thinking about the second order effects of what if my biometric data is out there. And, especially we're very privileged to not be living paycheck to paycheck working in this space. But I think that there might be people out there who are just trying to survive week over week. And so it's like a second order effect. That's how I think about it. I'm curious if you think about it differently, though.
I don't have problems to pay checks really, but I also don't care about my privacy a lot. Because sometimes if the biometric protocol is really bad, right, and you take the data from it, then you bring it to another really bad biometric protocol. It actually can be used by just using your photo. But if you're talking about a good biometric protocol, liveness and your unique traits, they go together only. So if you take my unique traits, if you even make a mask out of my face, but I won't be there as a human, you won't be able to enter the account. So, I mean, it's all about education of people on how biometrics work, especially because they all work differently.
Right. Okay. So what's next for y'all? What's on the roadmap?
On the roadmap is actually the mainnet launch pretty
Yeah.
soon, in September, October, because we've been testing that a lot, and we finally, I think, are
Got
ready
it.
to launch the first network without proof of stake, proof of work. Anybody can join and participate. The thing is that, of course, there are scalability issues as for any project out there in the crypto market. And if there will be too many people that want to go and join the network, they will have to go through other different actions to get there. So it's not only about biometric checks. In current blockchains, it's all about capital, right? It's all capital incentive. It's capital you have to bring to participate. We're taking like other forms of capital, not financial capital, for people to take part in the network. It's not only about checking the human existence, but also are they participating in governance, yes or no? Are they proposing ideas or executing on them, yes or no? And by this way, you're able to stay in the validator set because it will be limited until we update the consensus.
Okay. Got it. Seems like the details are fairly ironed out at this point. Is there any alpha you can leak about the network and the mainnet launch at this point, or should we all wait for the main announcement?
Well, there is not the exact date, so
Yeah.
just join the network right now, try it out, and see what is it becoming Humanode. Because otherwise, it's hard to understand, even from people who have been in crypto industry for 3 years, unless they go through it themselves. And now biometrics are private. You can understand like what Bitcoin is unless you send the first one.
Okay. Got it. So, where could you go play with it? I think the website is humanode.io.
Yep, you can see the testnets there.
Yeah. I wanted to say, people who are listening to this on audio probably can't see it, but your brand is just really incredible. You've got these really kind of futuristic line art, and it's very beautiful. The brand that you all have put together for this.
Thanks. Yeah, the only task we gave to our designer is do something completely different. Not like crypto, not these nodes,
Yeah, that's great. So how do you sort of see Sybil resistance in the Web3 ecosystem evolving? My sort of take is that there's a bunch of different players trying a bunch of different approaches, and some are biometric, some are web of trust, some are proof of liveliness, and I'm just kind of curious to see how it all fits together when the like when we start spinning this flywheel of more users who have one human one vote expectations, and that drives more DApps to have one human one vote as part of them. What is your sort of vision for Humanode being maximally successful, or Sybil resistance in Web3 being maximally successful?
Well, of course, you shouldn't rely just on one technology. It's all about cooperating together. I actually have seen like the Proof Humanity also trying the biometric checks, but they just put the simple neural network there, which could be fooled by photos. But still, we're working with projects in UBI space as well, who have Web of Trust model, which works pretty fine unless you can spoof a lot of identities that all trust each other. And the only way to get it really secure is the combination, of course. I do not believe a lot into Turing tests where you have to go and do the tasks that can be bought for 5 cents to solve them on Mechanical Turk. But the Web of Trust with certain thresholds combined with biometric checks is great tandem.
Got it. Okay. But so getting out of the mechanics of Sybil resistance, though, what is the utility you think this brings to everyday users in the space to have these passports out? Like, once we've solved the checks, what do people get? I mean, I guess like UBI is one thing that you talked about.
Yeah. UBI is just one thing. We can solve the airdrop problem, right? Because it is.
Mm.
Sybil is a big problem there. I mean, we already had project on using our biometric tech, creating NFT minter, so to say, which checks that NFT goes just to one person, not like 10 NFTs to one person. And there are things we can do in DeFi when the whales come and they reap all the rewards out of the reward pool, so that you could limit them per person. Then we had like 20 ideas of what you can build with Sybil resistant tech. We think that there is no proper MMORPG still on blockchain with normal gaming economy, because MMO economies are broken with rapid inflation, right? And the only thing you can do that is by also limiting the activity of the bots who lead to this inflation. I mean, the ideas come every week to us. What else we can do with Sybil resistant tech? Of course, DAOs is the most evident thing, and well, we will see a lot of DAOs even emerging on top of current DAOs, because you have seen awful cases when team just says this wallet is under our control now because we have enough votes to do anything with our network. And well, this, at least if not changed right away, it should be indicated by real community where you have this signaling one person, one vote DAOs, which do not really execute anything, but still the community can clearly see that the direction of the community is different from the direction of the whales or the founders. What else? We can, with Sybil resistance, we can actually establish the checks for proof of stake networks as well. So in Ethereum, due to the fact that there is 32 ETH per node, you never know how many nodes one person keeps, right? You also have the centralization points due to those who help people with less Ethereum stake their ETH through the third provider. We could, we could tell, hey, people, if you want to see how really this network is decentralized and who it belongs to, please go and like verify that you're a validator of these nodes, and like only one person stays behind it. Otherwise, we will never really know the Nakamoto coefficient of Ethereum and how many people is needed to coordinate to hold the network.
COINSHIFT is a leading treasury management and infrastructure platform for DAOs and crypto businesses who need to manage their treasury operations. Every crypto org needs to manage their treasury, and COINSHIFT offers a simple, flexible, and efficient multi-chain treasury management platform built on top of the extremely secure Gnosis Safe. With COINSHIFT, your organization can go from primitive single-chain treasuries to expressive, flexible, multi-chain features such as global user management, global contracts, proposal management, and many other features that can be shared across an entire organization. COINSHIFT layers on powerful treasury management tools on top of the proven security of Gnosis Safe, allowing users to save time and reduce operational burdens and gas costs. COINSHIFT even has data tools like account reporting across the 7 chains on which it operates. Used by industry powerhouses such as Uniswap Grants, Balancer, Consensus, and Messari, COINSHIFT is speeding up the coordination and efficiency of the organizations that use it. In DeFi, you have to keep up with the frontier, and COINSHIFT makes that easy. So sign up at coinshift.xyz/bankless. Immutable X is the layer 2 platform for crypto gaming. Immutable offers massive scalability with up to 9,000 transactions per second and instant transaction confirmation. No more gas fees, no more waiting around for your transaction to clear. Immutable's zero knowledge rollup finally unlocks the world of crypto gaming. Immutable X is the only gas-free NFT minting platform with over 26 million NFTs minted, all with zero gas fees. With the power of Immutable, gaming developers don't also need to become smart contract developers, they just need to plug in to Immutable's API and instantly start unlocking the full potential of crypto assets inside of games. This is why world-class companies and projects have decided to deploy on Immutable X, like GameStop, Ember Sword, Planet Quest, Illuvium, TikTok, and many more behind the scenes. So start building your game on Immutable X today at immutable.com.
So it seems like you're sort of pretty long on like UBI and like one human one vote DAOs. Sybil resistant airdrops would be huge. Maybe staking some of these L1s could be Sybil resistant, and that like it's sort of like that horizon of apps is what is going to be enabled if Humanode and other apps are successful here.
That's something what just right now in my mind as major problems. But there's also a lot of fun you can do. So one of our team members came up with a wonderful game, which for some reason wasn't yet created. That is like when you enter the game, you have just one life per one person. Then you die, and that's the end of the game. So there are more interesting, funny things you can do with Sybil resistance. Yeah.
Got it. And how do you think of like, are you all going to build some of those apps at Humanode, or you just want to expose an API, the Sybil resistance layer, and enable other developers to do that?
Well, of course, that's what we already did in the demo mode because we're not in the mainnet yet. But there are like 5 good projects that have already built in us on the hackathon. Of course, we're providing them with the API, so to say API. Yeah, more like biometric service.
Got it. Okay, cool. Man, you should talk to the people at Gitcoin DAO. They just launched a proof of personhood passport called Gitcoin Passport, and that'd be an interesting integration for Gitcoin DAO to consider.
Yeah, for sure. May I ask you a question regarding this? So this is what me and my friends analysts from Republic were really interested in. In Gitcoin Passport, you have, for example, 8 options of proving you're a real person.
Stamps,
right?
Yeah.
And well, is there at least one which you have to go through 100% or not? Because I could, for example, if there are 8 options, I could have 8 identities.
Yeah, so I think that Gitcoin DAO is still working through a lot of how this is going to work. And I should say, I think I'm known as the founder of Gitcoin, but I've actually just affiliated from leadership in the DAO. So I'm not speaking on behalf of the DAO when I answer here.
You're already decentralized.
Yeah, well, working on it. But yeah, basically, part of the idea I think is on Gitcoin DAO. There's a trust bonus, which basically every Gitcoin grants contribution will be metered up or metered down by how Sybil resistant you are. And then there's also a fraud defense team that is doing data analysis and looking for the Sybil attackers and trying to find them. But I think that the final destination of where this is going might be around something like a cost of forgery for an identity or a personhood score. And basically the idea is that you've got 8 stamps in your passport, and maybe each individually stamp is worth 10 cents, $1, $10, $100. So if you do all of them, then you have $111.10 worth of Sybil resistance, and that would enable you to get that much amount of matching. And so, if you're that one person and you have 8 different identities with 8 different stamps, then you would have an identity with 10 cents, $1, $10, $100 worth of matching. And so, choose which way how you want your identity to compound. So it's early days, but I think that's how they're thinking about doing it. And if you have any feedback, there's Gitcoin DAO people who listen to this podcast, I'm sure, who may have comments on that.
Well, the feedback is that if there is a person who came, he registered, like he got 3 points out of 10, right? But he was a scammer indeed. And he just took the money. He never delivered. For some reason, it happened. Of course, there are some protection things that you put in place, but still, how can you ban this person from creating another account and going through the verifications of other Sybil resistant providers? There is no way. This is why asking this question, because if you want to really ban a person, there should be one at least method which should be used 100% by every grantee. So this is the only thing I wanted to say here. Yeah,
I think that is interesting feedback, and maybe we can pass it along to the people at Gitcoin DAO who are working on this. I do think that how, like, whether there's AND gates or gates on each of those individual stamps is something that's subject to intense, vigorous debate. But then there's a question of who even makes the legitimate decision of how these stamps compound with each other. And then you get into kind of like some governance questions there, but also acknowledging that anytime you have an economic system that has any value in it, that there's going to be people who attack it. And so looking away from trying to create the perfect system to creating this like red team, blue team type exercise in which the attackers attack the system, the blue team studies the data, goes back to governance, makes changes to it, and then the system evolves like every epoch is kind of, I think, how Gitcoin DAO is thinking about it. But maybe there's a more solid way to solve it in one fell swoop with biometrics. Any comments on that? I feel like we've flipped the switch and now you're interviewing me, which is not what I intended. But the TikTok between Gitcoin and Humanode might be sort of interesting for people since they're both working on Sybil resistance.
Well, I really don't have a clear answer to this, but I think I would just go to Gitcoin DAO and talk on the forum, sort it out.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. That's how Gitcoin DAO does its governance. Any sort of preview on how Humanode is going to do its governance? I mean, obviously there'll be Sybil resistance sort of baked into it, but how is that going to work?
Well, we wanted to make the network democratic, right? So that one person has one vote, but at the same time, there are certain limitations. I mean, let's start with the fact that many people can launch nodes, but not all of them will vote. This leads to the fact that you can get enough votes on proposals, the proposal gets stuck, and your system is ineffective. That's why we decided that those who do not actively vote, and the threshold is 22% of all the proposals, they are out of the quorum to always have the quorum out of at least active voters. Those who are not active can just delegate, and the quorum will be reached better. Then the next point is that imagine tomorrow there will be like one small village anywhere in the world will coordinate, put another 5,000 nodes on the network, and it gets all the power now, right? So this way it could do anything to the network, and we should protect from this thing as well. So what we did is that still everybody has one vote, but not everybody can propose on the things that can damage the network, on the things that are crucial to the network. If you just entered the validator set, you can propose only on some minor things, but which are really crucial for community at the same time. Product, marketing, I don't know, partnerships, whatever. But if you want to put proposals on on-chain voting, for example, changing the structure of the DAO, changing the fee structure, or changing the blockchain tech itself, consensus, for example, you have to have a certain tier of governance, which we base on two things: proof of time running the node and participating in the voting, and proof of devotion, which is just an on-chain check whether you proposed something and it got accepted, or whether you executed something as a developer of another person's proposal. And by that, you earn yourself a certain tier throughout time. So, for example, well, we keep the network more or less autocratic during the first years, because otherwise it can all go wrong and the network will halt and die. We don't want to do that, but in the 4 years' time, many people will have the same rights as the founders, and they will be able to propose the things on changing the tech, changing the DAO itself, and the economic system.
Okay. Got it. So it sounds like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, it sounds like progressive decentralization.
Yep, exactly. It usually takes 4 years to build a republic, but you have to have autocracy in the beginning to bootstrap it. Yeah.
Cool. That's all the questions I had for you. I'm curious if there's anything that I didn't ask that you want to say.
Well, actually, as with the other people on the podcast, I thought we'd be talking more about the world as is, how we can change it, and what want to change in crypto, because apparently it went wrong way, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from few projects that often are underfunded, that's what, of course, Gitcoin wants to solve. But
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to comment of where the industry went wrong, right? So first, it was all right. Even when we came up with and started proof of stake network, it still seemed
Mm-hmm.
all right. But when we had this DeFi tokens reward on reward on reward coming out, I think
Yeah.
that people are thinking too much about the positive loops. But the
Mm-hmm.
positive loops in their systems, like you do this, you get more, then you get more from the other source, and the positive loops work great if it goes up, right? If everything is going well, it is getting better and better, accelerates. But
Mm-hmm.
as in our today's boom and bust credit cycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah.
traditional economy, when things go down, the positive loop makes things go down really, really far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is, I had that idea in my mind that we should do completely, we should do it in completely opposite way. We shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
create positive loops, but negative loops to have stable growth and sustainable growth without much of ups and downs to
Mm-hmm.
for the network to grow at the pace of its productivity growth, not the
Mm-hmm.
pace of its hype growth.
Mm. Got it. Yeah. I I don't know how to engineer that, but it's quite an interesting idea.
Yeah, sorry, I'm an economist. So yeah, I mean, this is something you can get from the complex system modeling as an engineer, right? And actually test out those systems. We actually think that eventually, if we will be wise humanity, well, this is what we should think of on a macro scale of our economies, of national economies.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we should make the cycles smaller, not bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And well, otherwise, you went up a lot, then you wasted a lot of money that you created on the stuff that you don't need, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go down a lot, and you also had a lot of environmental impact while going through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of criticisms of Web3. I feel like it's evolving in a bunch of different directions at once, and you can program your values into your money, right? And there's a whole spectrum of human values, and they're going to evolve in multiple different directions. But what I think is neat is that someone like you can take the value system that you have and bootstrap an economy based off of that. And there's kind of a merit based approach of what's the GDP of the Humanode economy, and there's an evolutionary sort of fitness game between it and someone else. So I'm not saying that I don't want to brush aside your criticisms. I think they're valid, but that's kind of like my macro view on the space is that everyone's sort of experimenting and hopefully the ecosystem selects for the right winners. But I'm actually not very optimistic on that. You see the growth of stuff like Terra Luna, and meanwhile there's public goods that can't get funded. It makes you a little bit less optimistic about the market selection mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, but if we keep developing and with our these more stable, systems, eventually in 5 years' time, we could match those who are growing on hype like mushrooms. So
Mm,
we just have to survive and keep building. I think, and without getting a lot of hype for no reason,
yeah.
because eventually those things that starting slow are those who survive.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that slow and steady wins the race is the children's tale of the tortoise and the hare. But one of the things that I sort of saw with these like giant Ponzi things like Terra is that they collapse sort of on their own, and then the ones that are left standing are the ones that were sort of slowly and steady building. And there's everywhere in between those two things. But so maybe it's not even going faster than them. It's just waiting for them to implode because their growth was cancerous and
Mhm.
unsustainable.
Yeah, I just hope that after all these lessons, we won't do the same things again, and kind of research negative loops instead of positive loops.
Yeah, totally. Well, what's that whole saying? Once bitten, twice shy. So at least within human memory of what's recently happened, then at least hopefully like people will not make the same mistakes. But I find the idea of the fourth turning quite compelling. Basically, the idea that there's only 3 living generations in my family: my kids, myself, and my parents, and so you have a fourth turning every fourth generation of human memory of people forget history. And so maybe it's going to differ as people have shorter attention spans with the internet and everything like that. But that's kind of how I think about that evolution.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it will be even less soon. And the only thing we can change it with is education. That yeah, this is the main thing that we have in our world. This is the root thing that can change how we live.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting to see the evolution, and I'm really interested to see Humanode evolve, and can't wait to see how it turns out in the end. So we'll be looking forward to the mainnet launch. Let me know if you want an intro to the people at Gitcoin DAO to do an integration from the Gitcoin DAO side of things, and yeah, I guess, is there anything else to say? Any sort of parting thoughts?
Closing stuff. Well, not really. I said everything, but I just wanted to share with you that pretty interesting thing we came up with. So Humanode is looking for its future like long ahead. We're also fans of neurotechnology.
Mm.
Just for a final note and for people to have something to say to their friends, we, as you have heard, Neuralink is testing its technology mostly on pigs. So one day we think we
Mm.
will have the biometric authorization from the and biometric signatures right from our brain and from the brain-computer interfaces.
Mm.
So we actually one day want to launch the testnet on proof of pigs, not proof of humans, to test out the
Yeah.
blockchain
What,
running
what, what, there's
on
probably a lot
brain
of memes
computer.
in there of. Sorry, go ahead.
Just one day want to test out the blockchain running on brain computer interfaces because we think that's where we're going.
Yeah, that's really crazy. I studied HCI, which for the uninitiated stands for human computer interaction, in college, and there's some really wild stuff that you can do there. But as soon as you said proof of pig, my mind was just filled with one pig, one vote memes. So
Well, I
it,
think they won't vote, but we at least can get some universal basic income for them.
okay, universal basic truffles. I don't know. This is probably a good place to wrap the episode because
Yeah.
we're descending into delirium. But it was so great to have you on the pod, man. I'm just really passionate about civil resistance, and I know you are too. And I think it's going to create a more democratic Web3. So thank you for your work in the space, and looking forward to seeing how it grows.
Thank you for it, Kevin. We'll make it
Great.
together.
Where okay? So last question: where can people find you online? Humannode.io. Is there anything else?
Humanode.io, and then you go to social channels, Twitter, Discord. Discord is very active. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, and so just Humanode on Twitter. Is that right?
Sure, it is.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, Victor. See you on the Ethernet.